Hello, the topic that I have chosen to present for my PowerPoint this week and week 2 is on nonverbal communication. The definition of nonverbal communication is the transfer of information from one person to another without the use of words or a spoken language. Nonverbal communication can occur in a variety of ways, including through facial expressions, gestures, and your body posture or position. Some of those cues that I just talked about. So, nonverbal cues, facial expressions, like when I look at you, what is your face saying without saying any words? Hand gestures, hand movements, body language, and your posture. What's your positioning? Are you facing towards that person that you are communicating with? And then eye contact. And on this slide, as you can see, this little girl, she's looking pretty grumpy and she has her arms crossed and she has this look on her face. And without her saying anything, if I were to approach her, I would think, ooh, she's in a really bad mood. Maybe she isn't, but her facial expressions and her body language is really telling me that she is. So to tie into that, so the expressions and body language, that eye contact, making good, strong eye contact, it shows that you're listening and engaged in the conversation. This is really a pet peeve of mine. I'm always preaching to my children, like, eye contact. If somebody's talking to you, look at them and show them that, acknowledge that you can hear they're talking to you or communicating. I'm in meetings and I will see people looking down at their phones, scrolling in meetings, and that really bothers me because, if you're taking the time to go to the meeting, you should be present and listening and participating. Posture, so when someone is talking to you, or, what's your body language? Are you facing the person? Is your head up? Are you looking at them? Or are you kind of turned away, slumped over? Are you looking down? Kind of slouching when you're sitting? Those are just things, at least personally to me, that also show that good posture. It shows you're engaged in the conversation and you're there listening. Hand gestures, as you can see, I make a lot of hand gestures. That's the way that I engage in conversation, verbally or non-verbally. If I wouldn't, have my hands tucked in my pocket, if I just kind of have them there, kind of feels closed off. But cultural differences. So one thing that I kind of found interesting when I was looking up cultural differences, when it came to eye contact, like, I take strong eye contact as a sign of engagement and respect when somebody's communicating with you. But in other cultures, like in East Asian cultures, they actually can see it as a sign of intimidation, or somebody being angry or unpleasant. If they're making that strong eye contact, it actually can mean something else. And that's just something to be aware of, just something that I kind of learned myself when doing research for this. And then some things to avoid, or maybe what not to do. Non-verbally, when you're communicating, being aware of somebody's personal space or their bubble, that can kind of be uncomfortable. Like if you're too close to somebody, if you're standing right on top of them when you're communicating, or if you have your arm, you put your hand or your arm on their shoulder or kind of around them. Like if they don't know you very well, sometimes it creates like an uncomfortable feeling and it feels a little invasive. Or again, things to avoid, scrolling on your phone. So even if you're not verbally communicating and you're in somebody else's presence, just pulling your phone out, it makes you look like you're bored, or not engaged. And then aligning conversation with actions, things to think about, verbally when you are having a conversation. Do your body language, gestures, eye contact, all those nonverbal cues, do they align with the verbal ones? Be thinking about somebody else's perception. If they look at you and they look over there, and they look on the bench over there and you're sitting there slumped over scrolling on your phone, does that seem like somebody that you really want to have a conversation with? Probably not. And then ways that you could improve. So facing towards the person that you are talking to, smiling, using those hand gestures, making comfortable level of eye contact, not intently staring at them like that. But making good eye contact with them, keeping your posture open, maybe not crossing those arms. Can't really do that with the video right now. Maybe leaning in slightly to show, hey, I'm present in the conversation, but being mindful of their space and being respectful of that personal bubble. Which leads me to my next slide on the effects of COVID. So, we couldn't be in anybody's bubble because we were 6 feet apart and we were wearing masks. And I think that was really, really hard, especially for somebody like me, who, I can't read somebody's expression through a mask. This was covered, you could kind of see their eyes. But it felt isolating. You're socially, spatially distancing, and then you cannot see facial expressions. And I think there was a lot of, I would say, damage done on the relationship side of things due to the pandemic. It created these barriers that you really couldn't see at the time in communicating. Discussion question with the class. So after hearing all of this and knowing this, what gestures do you feel are the most effective when communicating, and why?